Welcome to Business Amplified with host Kevin A. Dunlap.
This podcast is for small business owners aiming to amplify their enterprises.
Explore strategies to play a bigger game by becoming an author, public speaker, podcast host, or expanding your brand in other ways.
Elevate your business on Business Amplified.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Business Amplified. My name is Kevin Dunlap. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking with a person. His name is Logan Hughes. I was actually just on his show just a few days ago, so I'll put in the link, our interview on this show. Anyway, Logan is a very fascinating person. I would love to hear more about what he. I would like to share more about what he does. So let me go ahead and just welcome Logan to the show. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Yeah, we had a blast on my podcast the other day, so I'm just glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I think we had good energy, and the thing is, you're going to be sharing me with your audience. Now I want to share you with my audience. So Logan, tell the audience basically, who are you? What is it that you do, and why is it that you do it?
Yeah, a great question, right? So my name's Logan Hughes. I've been in the marketing world now for well over 5 years. I had my previous agency that I started, and had some major changes that took place about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now. That I merged my previous agency with a much larger one, Height Digital. Now I'm a franchise owner, so there's 7 of us throughout the country. I got into the marketing space because at my previous job, which I was working with my cousin, and fresh out of school, I was handling some logistics with a medical device company in Boston. And through 7 years I was there and was able to buy my first place, 401k, insurance, everything imagined, was living really comfortably. But about the end of year 6, I was like, man, I feel like my soul was being like literally sucked from my body, because I was just doing spreadsheets and doing some stuff that I didn't love doing. I'm a very creative person at heart. I've been involved in music and graduated graphic design degree. So I'm a creative person. So it took me a while to kind of figure out, like, okay, something needs to be changed. And along my journey, I've kind of found marketing as a way to express my creative side, but also help business owners out, be of service to others. And that was another facet of what I was feeling at that time, is that I felt like I wasn't being fulfilled in a way that was, I'm not helping anyone. I'm just kind of here doing just the day-to-day stuff and whatnot. But I'll give you a kind of interesting part of that, is that from a mindset perspective, for a year straight, I wrote down in my journal every single day, I'm going to leave my 9-to-5 job and create my own marketing business. Every single day I wrote that, and I had a plan that I was going to leave this full-time job in January. Now, January came and I hadn't left. I was kind of using marketing as a side hustle. I had a couple of $1,000s coming in, nothing crazy. But I wasn't ready to leave. I was scared. About a couple of weeks later, my boss pulls me in, and his partner pulled me into a meeting out of nowhere. And it was like, Logan, we're sorry, but your job's being phased out. We're going to give you 3 months to kind of figure things out. And unfortunately, you won't longer be with us. So that was either the universe, God, whoever you want to say it was, but it was that basically like, okay, you've been asking for this now for a year. Here's a kick in the butt. It's time to get after it. So that was, that put a lot of things together for me from a mindset perspective. And it kind of built my confidence up that, if I put my mind to it, that I will be able to accomplish it. And then here we are 5 years later, and things are going pretty strong. So.
And I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people go to the job, and I've actually been on a few podcasts before about having a job. And I think a lot of people fall into this category, and you obviously fell into the category as well, or at one point. And I talk about there is no security in job security. You just never know when they're going to let you go.
You never.
At least they gave you a 3-month warning.
Right. No, it's only because it was my family member, right? He was trying to help me out. But yeah, sure. Other than that, it would have been 2 weeks and you're out,
Well, I mean, because I know when I got my start into the entrepreneurial journey, I was a computer programmer working on a project called Y2K at the time, if you know what year that is.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you the year. I just had to let you guess. But I remember this was June. I was a computer programmer working on a sub project. In this case, it was with BB&T Bank, but I didn't work for BB&T Bank. I was just subcontracted to them. And if for those who don't know what BB&T Bank is, that's a bank that's more on the eastern part of the United States, south and eastern part of the United States. And I remember this was June, and it was, and my gig was coming up, and my boss said, okay, we'll try to find you another job, and said we just just give us a call every couple of weeks, every couple of days, and just check in. You're still going to get paid, but just go ahead and check in. And I remember I asked my boss, like, well, so since this is the perfect timing for me to go and take a vacation, because I'm in between gigs, I don't have to worry about letting my next gig know, hey, I'm going to be on vacation. Just go and take it now in this time in between. He says, sure, just give me a call once a week. So I decided to go and take my 2 weeks vacation. And I ended up going, I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina at the time. And I went to Seattle, Washington to go to stunt school. Yes, I said that right. Stunt school. I sat on fire, car stunts, hand-to-hand combat. Because I was always wanted to be a stuntman at that time. But the stunt school was 3 weeks long. So after I came back, he still said he couldn't find me a gig. And about a week or two after, they said, well, he called me again. Said, well, we can't find you another gig. And so we're going to have to go ahead and let you go. And since you didn't earn that second, so I was paid 2 weeks in advance. It was, since you didn't earn that second week of vacation, because this is only July, we're taking that out of your final paycheck. And that extra week that you took off, we're taking that also out of your final paycheck. So no notice, no more paycheck, zero income. So
That
I didn't
hurts.
get the three notice. I got the hey, you're fired today notice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You never know. And I think it's, you mentioned this too, on my podcast the other day, and it was just such a great point, sort of working that side hustle until you have built up enough. If you're thinking about it, like, maybe you love your job and blah, blah, but if you're thinking about doing something on your own, it's good to have a little bit of a safety net. Now, either having a side hustle that's kind of bringing some money in, or getting to a point where, you're making enough that to supplement that with your full time, and then kind of take that leap. So doing it smart way, the smart way, I guess.
And that's exactly right. Because as you were saying that when you were saying I wanted to leave in January, I wanted to leave in February, but you said I had a couple of $1,000s coming in, which is perfect because now because you had your security or false sense of security of your job, and you've got the money coming in. Now it's a lot easier to make that transition from corporate world into self-employed world. However, if
Exactly.
you're just cut off and you got to start a business when you have no income coming in, that can be extremely stressful.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
the bad thing is with most entrepreneurs, they just don't know what they don't know, and because of that, it can be a very long process. That's also why a lot of businesses fail is because they're either under capitalized or they don't know how to market themselves. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things. Now, so I'd love to tell us a little bit about what kind of marketing that you do, for somebody else or even for yourself.
Yeah, so I fell in love with website design. We're just talking before we went live here. I built over myself personally around 150 websites. I fell in love with it just because, again, it's another outlet for that creative aspect. So I'm getting fulfillment on that side, but also every single business needs a really great website in place, right? It's a what we call a lead converting machine, right? And a lot of
Mhm.
the websites that I've seen from service-based businesses, trade businesses, or you name it, really, they're called like I call them business card websites. They're like 1 or 2 pages. They just kind of have some information on there. They don't really do anything other than it's just a digital business card, right? So from my marketing perspective, when I work with businesses, I always start with the website first. I get a lot of inquiries about SEO and PPC and all these different aspects of marketing, but none of that will work unless you don't have a really well established website in place. It won't happen, especially from SEO, right? So when I have a client that's interested in any of those services, we always start with the website. We do a full-fledged audit on their current website, making sure it's up to speed. If they have a Squarespace or Wix website, then we try to talk them into the reasons why they should upgrade or to a WordPress website, using Elementor, those type of deals. And because that's really going to give you that foundation from a digital perspective needed to be able to start doing SEO or PPC along the lines. A lot of the stuff that we're finding out too nowadays, and you're doing a good job of this yourself, is the personal branding component of this, of the
Mhm.
marketing is massive nowadays. No longer can a business owner just be sidelined and kind of hiding behind the computer. Some of the biggest companies that I've talked to, and some that are generating a lot of revenue, are being shown on camera and being first and foremost out there, talking with the community, being on video and podcasts and speaking arrangements. And I think a lot of that has to come down to the fact that we just been inundated with spam and BS constantly, right? We fake profiles and fake businesses and so forth, right? So the more that you can bring uh, that authentic personal approach to your social media profiles is going to put you over the top from your competitors, because I guarantee you your competitors are probably not doing that.
Well, that is, I'm glad you said that because I learned that back in 2009. I think we've shared this, we talked about this before. Back then, I actually was at a real estate conference and I won one of the door prizes. And it was a pocket-sized camcorder, and I still have it. I mean, it was called a flip camcorder. It was about the size of it was about, I don't know,
Yeah.
6 inches tall, maybe an inch thick, and it would record up to 1 hour of video. Doesn't matter if it was 6 10-minute videos or 160-minute or 415, it will record up to 1 hour.
Mm.
And I started shooting. I was in real estate at that time, and I just started shooting video of me standing in front of the camera, introducing the house that was going to be marketing for that day. I mean, I was standing in front of the camera and said, "Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Dunlap with Trident Investments Group. Today, we're at 123 Main Street, and I go through the details of the house." Then I would shoot what I call the tail slate, which is the, "Hey, thank you for taking a look at 123 Main Street. For more information about this or any of our homes." That was my exact phrasing. I mean, I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
And then I would shoot a guided tour of the house because I looked at it as, "Hey, you don't live in this city. You're looking at I was in Las Vegas at the time, and you're looking at this video from Chicago. I mean, you could be in
Right.
Las Vegas, you could be next door. It didn't matter, but I pretended you were in another city. Like, how can I view this house without being there?" And that's exactly what I did, and that made me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Just being that
Yeah.
because my face was my brand, and
Yeah.
I'm sure Logan will say this: if you're a small business owner, your face is part of your brand. Yes, you have your logo, you have your colors, you have those things, you have your motto, your tagline, all of that other stuff, but your face is still your brand. And that's how you're going to differentiate yourself from other people. And
Yeah. And
also, go ahead.
So sorry. Yeah, and from the real estate aspect, you mentioned that's like mandatory nowadays, right? Every single real estate person is going to the house and doing videos, right? So before the times on that with you. So that's great. We've actually split tested this on our end too, from a website perspective, right? So we've had, for instance, we have a local jewelry store. When I was building the website, every single jewelry store, K's, whatever you want to call it, the big ones, even the smaller ones, very in terms of imagery and just the layout was just very basic and vague. There was no personalization to it. So we split tested this. We had the website that they had previously on Squarespace, and it was all stock images, no personality. We rebuilt their website on WordPress, and we added pictures of both of the husband and wife who worked there, and just showed that personality. And this was 5 years ago. Till this day, people will go into the store and be like, "Hey, I saw you on the website. I saw your dog that you put on social media." Like, they feel like they're already part of that family, and because of that, they are absolutely crushing it. So, for if anyone is listening, if you have an opportunity and have a website that doesn't have a lot of pictures of technicians or the business owners or speaking a lot about yourself, I would highly recommend you add that personalization to the website, because it's really going to help yourself out.
Yeah, I'm going to second what he just said there, and I'm also going to dovetail a little bit. It's not having pictures of people like a stock image that you got on Unsplash or something like that. It's going to be the actual people in the store. Okay, so
1,000%.
that adds that personalization. Because the thing is, you want if you've got to say if you've got a pawn shop or whatever, you got 3 employees and you got two owners, a husband and wife owner or something like that. You want photos of those people, so when somebody comes into that store, like, "Oh, that's Bobby over there." I
Thousand
mean,
percent.
and that just
Yes.
adds because I'm sure everybody's heard of the whole saying: people will do business with the people that they know, like, and trust. and they
Mhm.
have to know who you are to know you. I mean, it's so
That's how,
simple, but it's I
yeah.
don't want it to go over your head because you're overthinking this.
Mhm. No, yeah, it's really just comes to that down to that, and then that that floats into the social media side.
Mm.
Put it, just constantly nurturing your audience. Maybe even getting, if you know a family friend who does, loves the photography, right? Have them come to the store or follow you to different job sites or do certain things and just get some photos of yourself personally out there. It's funny because like on Facebook when you're posting or anywhere really I noticed that the posts that do the best are personal posts, and I'm sure you've seen that too, right? Talking about family or dogs or something along the lines that stuff really gravitates and brings that personalization out. So if you're a business, absolutely start including any type of personalization that you can, whether it's TikTok videos, Instagram Reels, and so forth. But definitely bring that personality. It's going to help out.
And I'm going to take this one step further, is that whenever you're taking photos and video, even for that matter, understand which platform that video or photo is going to go on. If you're going to be shooting TikTok and you're shooting it with your cell phone, you want to shoot it in portrait or vertical mode. If you're shooting a picture of a house that's going to go onto the MLS, shoot that in landscape horizontal mode. You have to know which platform it's going to go on. Because to me, one of my biggest peeves, and any of you that may watch the news or something like that, doesn't even matter which news channel you watch. If you say, "Hey, look, this is somebody filming this event that just happened. They're shooting in portrait mode to be on your horizontal TV," like so you see that little fluffy stuff on the side. Like, people,
Yeah,
why are you doing this? That's
right. I
you're in
know.
the wrong mode.
So true. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I remember I watched this one show. Most of y'all probably are not going to know what this one is, but it was on one of the paranormal activity shows. And one of the hosts, he shot video. He goes, "I tell everybody to shoot in vertical or horizontal mode." And then he shot an event. He shot it in vertical. He even broke his own rule.
Yeah,
But you,
it's yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, like there's a lot of testing that's involved, right? And again, go back to the jewelry store owner because we have such a great relationship. She's doing a lot more reels nowadays, and it's so funny because she's getting really good at it. But she's still like, she texts me the other day, saying that I saw a reel that she put out. I was like, this is really good. You're doing a really good job. She's like, the struggle is real. That's what she said. That was her response back. And it takes a lot of time and it does take a lot of effort, but and trials. I mean, you have to figure things out. But again, I kind of go back to our episode here, but I think you mentioned this too. It's not really about perfection at first, right? It's just about putting in the reps, and you just have to get on camera. You have to continue forward. You have to start doing these things, and it's gonna suck at first, as anything else, right? But again, no one really truthfully cares. That's what I find out, and again, we've actually seen that ads or videos that are unscripted, that maybe you fumble words, it's not really airtight, actually tend to do better because again, it's personalization. They're gonna, be like, okay,
Mhm.
he's on video and he may stumble some words, stuttered a little bit, but that's him. That's who he is, and they gravitate more to that. So again, it goes back to personalization. Yeah.
And I'm going to second that as well because I mean I was all about perfection when I started shooting video as well. And to be honest with you guys, and I'm going to share this with the audience, is that when I was shooting my first videos of houses, it took me sometimes 4 or 5 takes to get done right.
Oh yeah.
So, so just be okay that you are going to make mistakes. You can always reshoot. Now, if you're doing a large monologue and you fumble a word, leave that fumble in there. I mean, you don't have to be perfect all the time, and that fumble makes you more human.
1000%. Yeah, man. Listen, we try to record multiple reels throughout the week, and I must do 10 takes each one. And by the end of it, I'm swearing, cursing up a storm, But it's what you got to do. I mean, that's the separator there from between yourself and your competition or businesses. Yeah.
And the thing, yeah, I mean, because I know I probably shot over 1,000 videos of houses over the course of 18 years or 16 years, or actually it was from not 2009 to 2020, so over the course of 12 years just shooting houses. Even toward the end, I was still making mistakes. I mean, I've shot hundreds and hundreds of these things, and I'll be standing in front of the camera and go, "Okay, good morning, everybody," or I don't know what time of day it is. Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Dunlap with Trident Investment Group. Today, we're at 456 Main Street, and this is a three. How many square feet is this? No, I mean, and I remember those days when I'd had my spreadsheet with the house just off camera, and I would say, okay,
Mhm.
3,263 square feet, 4.5 bedroom, two bath on the corner of. Okay, I'm going through this in my head 4 or 5 times before I even start turning on the video. And here's the
Mhm.
other funny thing that happened to me a lot. When I stopped using my flip camcorder and technology with phones became a lot more popular. I remember like I would not get a phone call for 2 3 days. So so I was only okay. I haven't done anything. Let's go out to this house over on Main Street. Let's go and shoot the video, get the pictures because I'm gonna start marketing this house. And the 5 minutes that it would take me to record the video, I would get two phone calls. Like,
Yeah.
why would they be
Go figure.
calling me at this 5 minute window? I haven't heard anything I haven't rang in 2 3 days. And what I've learned, if I was using my cell phone, you know how you can get past that? Not worry about the calls coming in. 'Cause this is what I ended up starting doing. I put my phone on airplane mode. It's just like go shoot the video.
Mm. Honestly, that's a good idea. It's funny you mentioned that because I was trying to record a reel the other day and I was just getting bombarded by Facebook messages and stuff. I just couldn't concentrate. I never thought to put it on airplane mode. So yes, I'm gonna be probably doing that from the foreseeable future.
So here's the marketing expert learning something new. This is
There
great.
you go.
So Logan, tell us about some of the challenges that you've gone through and how did you get past some of those challenges?
So the biggest challenge I think that I've had within business certainly was that transition from full time to entrepreneurship. That
The very
you
beginning.
know, from the very beginning. I've been incredibly lucky and grateful and blessed that since making that move, things have gone in the right direction. But the challenge that I faced was a couple things. One of them was the confidence in yourself to make that jump. Um, so I learned, I learned a lot in that aspect. I had to be extremely confident in myself, not listen to the naysayers, and go in with 100% my gut feeling that I will make this work. Part of that also had to do with the fact that I had a tremendous support system. My wife always had my back. My family was like, Logan, this is a good opportunity to do it. So, that really, really helped. So that biggest challenge was going from and now also juggling act as well. Going from I had to go from 9 to 5 day to day type of deal to going on my own and being like, okay, I actually have to wake up at a certain time and get to work, and I have to really set my calendar and be responsible for my actions because that's ultimately what's going to bring the money in, right? So it was a little bit of that. I think the second part of the challenge I learned early on was the financial piece of this. I was operating a lot at that time as a freelancer, and I wasn't paying attention to my books. My books were a mess. So when it came down to taxes and so forth, I got screwed big time. So if you were looking to start your own business, I would put a major emphasis on learning what it's going to take to get your books in order because I had to come up with thousands of dollars that at that point I didn't have, and it sucked. So, recognizing that the financial piece is a big thing, learning your numbers as you're going through, establishing clear KPIs. But the financial piece, look for help on QuickBooks or get a CPA or someone in accounting part that could, set you up from the beginning because you don't want to have to run into a problem where, you know, taxes come around and you have to cough up a ton of money or you haven't paid taxes and you're operating as an LLC, that type of stuff really caught me off guard. So those would be the two big challenges that I face when going through my transition to entrepreneurship.
So, for those of you that are just starting out as a business coach, this is one of the few things that I teach exactly about that is you number one, you need to keep a copy of every single receipt. That includes income receipts as well as any deductions that you're going to be giving out. Like say you go buy a new laptop for your business, keep all of those receipts. And I don't normally talk about this on podcasts, but one of the things I do teach is that if you're going to be starting a business, opening up a second, at least, well, I usually say seven checking accounts, but we're not going to go
Yes.
there. But you do open up one additional checking account, and 10 to 15% of all of your income goes in that one checking account, and that's going to be your tax account. That way
1,000%.
you're already saving up for that taxes. Because here's the one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs don't know or they don't think about is that once you become fully self-employed, guess what? You're not going to get a tax return. You're not going to get a tax rebate from the government. Those
That
days are
was a hard
gone.
that was a hard pill to swallow when I first got that. The account was like, "You're not gonna." I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" So like, that's a hard pill to swallow right there. But it's certainly absolutely true. Yeah, yeah.
But that's because you're not paying in during the whole year.
Mhm,
So why
mhm.
would you get something back that you didn't pay into?
Right, right. Yeah, again, to setting up the accounts. If anyone was this, setting up the accounts was made my life so incredibly easy, or easier from a financial perspective. So, uh, establishing a business account, multiple checking accounts, and doing exactly what you said. Setting aside 15-20%, putting that away for taxes. Oh man, I cannot recommend that enough. Honestly.
Well, because if you don't, most people tend to live within their means. So if your means increase, your expenses go up because you're going to buy that new car. You're going to buy all that other thing that's going to. But however, if you don't plan for your taxes, it will come up and bite you. I mean, it will bite
Yes.
you hard. So,
Yes.
so you definitely, usually recommend like 10 to 15. You can go 20 to put 20 away if you don't have any deductions because your
Mhm.
deductions come off your income. If you've got a lot of deductions, then you can probably go with a lower amount. And by the way, if let's say you put in $15,000 into that tax account and your taxes were $13,000, well, you can move that 2,000 back into your operating account or whatever, and then start doing that again the following year. So,
Yep.
but having that a setup is super critical if you really want to be
Mhm.
successful.
Yes. Yep.
And Logan, since we talked about challenges, let's talk about some of your biggest successes. So
Sure.
tell us about those and how did that make you feel, and or what was it that you were doing?
I think my biggest success, is from, again, I'm kind of breaking some 2 points. One, from a business perspective, um, simply being able to go on my own and provide for my family. By far the biggest success. Now, from the business, and that's a mixture of both, right? Um, you know, uh, uh, I think that's probably the biggest one that encompasses both business and family. I was maybe thinking about breaking up in two things, but just being able to feel confident, in myself and in serve others, and being able to just put food on the table and have a great life for my family. That was my biggest why. That was why I got into this, in the begin with. I saw a lot from, my father was able to support our family, but there was a cost to that, and that cost was he was never around. He traveled a lot. He worked, 10 8-hour days, and he was just never around. And I saw that growing up. And I realized at a younger age that you know, I never thought myself would be a solo a business owner or entrepreneur, but when everything clicked, it was like I want to have time with my family. And at the time, my wife and I were talking about having kids and what that landscape looked like. So that was my ultimate why. I mean, being able to support my family with this, spending time with, we have a 2.5-year-old boy at home, and having the freedom on Wednesdays, which we do now, to, I work a half day and the other half is spending time with them, and kind of be freed up in those day-to-day things. So that was I think my biggest success so far was making this work, being able to provide my family, and ultimately having that freedom to have time with my family.
Not to be huge because number one, you've shown or you've proven the proof of concept that you can survive and possibly even thrive without having to be under somebody else's thumb and rules. Hey, you have to be here from this time to this time. You have to ask permission for time off. Um, you can just you've proven the proof of concept, so that is a huge success because when you are no longer dependent upon somebody else, that's very very relieving. So and that was the huge thing I learned, even back when I was in real estate was, yeah, there were times that things were tough, there was times that things were abundant, I mean, my best year in real estate, and I was doing lease option real estate before I got my realtor's license. And in 2011, I did 53 real estate transactions in one calendar year. Now, we've got to remember, we were in a housing crisis at that time, and lease options require prices to go up in a declining market. And I did
Right.
53 of them, one per
That
week plus one.
that's crazy.
That
Yeah.
that was that was by far my best year. But I was hustling, and I mean I
Hmm.
was right at that time. I was in my second year because I started shooting video in October 2009. So by 2011, now I had a year and one quarter years under my belt shooting video, and that was
Yeah.
just to be able to do that many transactions was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I saved tens of thousands of dollars,
Mm.
and it was phenomenal. And to the point where in 2012, that's when I got my realtor's license because I kept turning people away. I was so busy, I could not help somebody that was unqualified to do a lease option because they didn't have the option money, or they were too qualified for the option because they were actually qualified for a house. I go, why would you come to me? I only got 30 houses. There's 5,000 houses on the market right now. So why don't you go buy one of those? You're qualified. You don't need to be using me.
Right.
I
Right.
was turning those people away. And
Mm.
then I said, you know what, let me go and get my license in 2012 so I could also service those people. That's how I said that was the main reason I got my license. But the thing, it was all for me, it was proof of concept
Yeah.
because I could live off that income because a lot of
Mm.
realtors haven't another job, so they can only show houses on the weekends and in the afternoons or the late afternoons.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and
It's it's a
so the fact
testament.
that you're able.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a testament to consistency and showing up every day. I mean, that's the ultimate thing, right? Like, when and especially when you don't have a plan B. Like I didn't have a plan B. There was no plan B. This was when I made that move, this was plan A. This was going to work. There was no, I'm not going back to 9 to 5. And now here we are 4 years, 5 years later, and there's no chance that I would ever remotely go back. Once you get a little bit of a taste of it, you're like, I can do this. It's just it stems from there. And consistency is key, and constantly putting in the day-to-day hours of things that you have to do, the things that move the needle daily, content, project management work, whatever it is, employees out in job sites, those type of things. It's just showing up daily. But yeah, just believe in yourself, and constantly wake up, put in work, and just kind of if you do things with no plan B, you'll figure out a way to make it work for sure.
Was it like one of the conquistadors that came over to the New World, and they were facing the Indians? He said, "Scrap the boats." So
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
no
exactly.
turning back.
That's yes, yes. That's exactly what it is. I mean, like, and that's the thing. I mean, and you can tell, and I don't know if any other business owner that I've talked to had a plan B when they made moves. They worked themselves up. Obviously they've had different jobs, working other businesses and learned, what not to do, what they were doing great, and kind of learning from that and going on. But a lot of entrepreneurs that I know, when they started off, they didn't have a plan B. There was like, they learned along the way, they grew some skills and they made that move, but there was no turning back. You're going to make it work. And if not, then it is what it is. You pivot and do something else. But yeah, it's funny how that works.
Well, and the thing is, the markets do change. So therefore, if a market does change, you need to redirect your energy into how to accept that. Like I started my real estate business when I moved from Wilmington, North Carolina to Las Vegas, Nevada. I arrived in Las Vegas, Nevada on January 30th, 2004.
Mm,
So that's when I got there. I knew one of my closest friends had moved there a month prior, but he was unemployed, looking for work, living with his mom.
mm,
And when I got there, it's like, well, I'm going to house it. I'm going to help these people do these seller finance deals back during the housing boom. And then that company fell apart in June of 2004. And it's like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's like, and so, but the thing is, for me, that's when I started my lease option business. Was in July of 2004, where I was dealing with a lot of owners that were wanting to buy real estate in Las Vegas, and then me and another realtor were working a business where we'll find people who could not get, couldn't buy a house, even though everybody that had a breath was giving a loan. back then. But there were people that still did not qualify, like, maybe they were new to town, or, whatever it was. And that's where the lease auction business came from. So we will have the person come in, and then we'll show them the house that's for sale on the MLS. I'll put it under contract under my name. I'll go find an investor. Hey, we will do this. We're going to add 20%, 25% per year onto the home. So you can make this much money on this on a 1 year contract, sometimes a 2 year contract. And that was the nature of the business. That was like perfect, strong appreciating market, making money hand over fist. And then guess
Right.
what happened in 2007? The
Yeah.
housing crunch, the
Yeah.
bubble burst. So I could no longer depend upon appreciation. So
Yeah.
I had to shift my business model because that model would not work anymore. Same
Mhm.
thing happened for a lot of people that had businesses that, and then here came March 18th, 2020. Oh gosh, the world just got shut down.
Mm.
A lot of businesses
It's
went out of business. They didn't pivot. The thing is, things like that
such a
are
good
going to
point.
happen.
Such a
And
good
in
point.
2020, when the housing market, or not the housing market, when the whole world shut down, that caused a lot of businesses to fail, but it also caused a lot of other businesses who could pivot to thrive. People that started doing
Mm.
Zoom meetings. Let's do this online. Let's do so that somebody that shift from the hand had to be there in person to being virtual. Those people thrived.
Mhm.
Especially
It's
if you're
such a
in like an
huge point.
education and people are like, man,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
so bored. I can't go anywhere. Nothing's open. So
Right.
what am I going to do? I mean,
Yeah, it
there's
was
so much
that was a
opportunity out there.
that was a wild time. It was so funny because we had having multiple clients. Some of them were dead in the water, like restaurants, but then some of them were like, anything labor, anything in the trades, right? That was a prime time for people to work on the house. So it was a mixed bag of people just being absolutely dead in the water, cannot do anything, to businesses that just skyrocketed and just absolutely crushed it during that time. But you make a really good point. I mean, being able to pivot and address things that happen. Because listen, I'm not gonna lie. Last week I was thinking about throwing in the towel. Right, last week was a hard week, and it's just kind of going back to the why of why you're starting to do this. But there's going to be hardships. There's going to be really good times. But that's just the ebbs and flows of entrepreneurship and being a business owner. It's not for the weak here, but yeah.
And the last thing I'm going to say, the other shift that happened or at least for me, it happened in 2023. It was when this little thing that came out that everybody was that came out that everybody like, oh my gosh, this is so great. That was called Chat GBT when AI hit
Yeah.
mainstream. So I
Yep.
mean, there's
It's
another
only the
shift.
beginning. Yeah, only the beginning with what we're seeing on that. That's a whole nother episode right there. Yeah, yeah. That's a
Absolutely.
that's a big
So
thing.
Logan, if somebody wanted to work with you more to find out more about your marketing business, to talk with you either in person or I would say most likely virtual because we're all virtual these days. How can one of the listeners, how can they, or even the viewers for the YouTube people, how can they actually get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can if you're interested with anything marketing related, you can go to heightdigital.com/Manchester. That's HITE digital.com/, Manchester. And that's where you can directly reach out to me for anything marketing related. But find me on Facebook, Logan Hughes. I have a green profile with a goofy face there. Look me up. I just love to have conversations. And ultimately, when it comes down to just picking my brain about marketing related strategies or anything that I can help for your business. My main goal is to, one, establish a really great relationship and partnership with my clients, but two, just be of service to others. So if you have any questions on anything, the entrepreneurship journey, or marketing related, you can find me on my website, but also just reach out to Facebook and we'll have a great conversation. So
So again, that's going to be at HITE digital.com/Manchester. Or you can look for
yes,
him personally. His name is Logan, Logan Hughes, Hughes. I want to make sure you guys don't misspell that. There's no
you
O's
got
in
it.
there. There's no just HS. It's
Thank you.
HES.
HUT, yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And also for those of you that are listening to the show, if you think this might be something that you like to contribute to, and you may want to see by being a guest on this show, you can go to our calendar page, which is at businessamplify.net/pre-interview. That way we can do a 15-minute call to see if that's something that you would like, or if you know somebody else that we might be give it to them at businessamplified.net/pre-interview, because we're always looking for more guests. And the reason I do this at the end of every show, because one of my favorite shows was called Dirty Jobs, and Mike Rowe at the very beginning, at the very end, I was say, "Hey, if you know somebody that has a dirty," so I'm doing my own little self promotion for future shows.
Great show.
Oh, I love it, and he's back. He's come back.
I know. Awesome.
So, but anyway, Logan, are there any last words that you want to share with anybody before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this. Again, if you're looking to make that jump to entrepreneurship, just it's pretty cliche, but just believe in yourself. Make sure that you have some skill sets in place and you're making some revenue coming in, but don't be afraid to go all in on yourself. And some of the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners that I know have gone all in, all chips on the table, and they've made it work. So yeah, thank you for having me on, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And everybody, thank you for joining us. And until next time, be amazing.
Thanks for tuning in to another empowering episode of Business Amplified with Kevin A. Dunlap.
If you found value in today's insights, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast.
Keep amplifying your business. And remember, your success journey is our inspiration.
Until next time on Business Amplified, go out there and make your business thrive.